Welcome to the Taken Hour. Before we drift off tonight, take a moment to subscribe for more journeys into the quiet unknown. Tonight, we travel to Station 13. It hasn't appeared on any map for 50 years. The iron rails leading to it are choked with ivy and deep moss, hidden beneath the canopy of a sleeping forest. The station building itself stands silent, a monument to a forgotten era of steam and schedules. Moonlight filters through the high, dust-moted windows of the grand waiting hall, casting long, still shadows across benches where no one has sat for decades. The air is cool, still, and perfectly quiet, waiting for a train that is never supposed to arrive. The silence here is heavy, almost tangible. It's the kind of silence that accumulates like soft layers of dust over half a century. In the center of the concourse hangs the great arrival board. Once, its mechanical flaps would clatter noisily, announcing destinations from a busier world. Now, it hangs dark and dormant, its frozen letters coated in grime, showing destinations that no longer exist. The station is a time capsule, sealed against the hurried pace of the modern world outside. It is a place perfectly at rest, a sanctuary of forgotten things, breathing slowly in the depths of the night. A few miles away, past the dense woods, the small town of Oakhaven sleeps deeply. A gentle fog rolls down from the hills, blanketing the rooftops and muffling the few streetlights that remain lit. The residents are tucked safely in their beds, dreaming peaceful dreams, unaware of the silent station hidden in the trees nearby. The connection between the town and Station 13 was severed long ago, a memory faded into folklore. The town sleeps under a blanket of stars, its rhythm slow and steady, completely undisturbed by the ancient machinery that is about to wake up in the woods. There is one person awake, however. Ilara, the night caretaker for the Regional Rail Authority, sits in a small, modern depot miles down the active line. Her job is mostly watching quiet monitors showing empty tracks. She enjoys the solitude of the graveyard shift, the hum of the servers, and the comforting green glow of the screens. Tonight feels like any other night. The coffee is warm in her mug, and the digital clock on the wall ticks away the seconds of the early morning. The world is orderly, predictable, and safe. It begins with a sound that shouldn't exist. In the abandoned Station 13, deep in the woods, a relay clicks. Then another. Dust is disturbed as ancient copper contacts close for the first time in 50 years. A low electrical hum, barely audible, begins to vibrate through the iron framework of the arrival board. It's not a harsh sound, but a gentle resonance, like a tuning fork struck softly in a large cavern. The dormant machines are stretching, waking from a very long hibernation. Back in her modern depot, Ilara notices a flicker on a secondary screen she rarely checks. It's an error readout for defunct sectors. A light blinks amber, a soft pulse in the green room. It indicates activity in Sector 13. She taps the glass, assuming it's a glitch, a ghost in the machine. But the light persists, pulsing with a slow, steady rhythm, like a sleeping heartbeat suddenly accelerating. It's a gentle alarm, more of a curiosity than a warning. At the abandoned station, the arrival board shudders. With a sound like falling dominoes made of bone, the mechanical flaps begin to turn. Clack, 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 clack. The noise echoes strangely in the vaulted silence. Dust billows outwards in pale clouds illuminated by the moonlight. The flaps settle, revealing yellowed letters and numbers that haven't seen the light since the 70s. A destination appears. A time is set. The board is alive. Ilara pulls up the detailed diagnostic. The reading makes her pause. The signal isn't just active, it's receiving data. The old system at Station 13 is reporting an incoming train. The timestamp is impossible. October 26th, 1971, 11:45 p.m. The train that was canceled the night the station closed forever. She considers calling it in, but a strange sense of calm washes over her. It doesn't feel like an emergency. It feels like a memory trying to complete itself. She leans back, watching the screen with drowsy fascination. The atmosphere around Station 13 shifts. The air becomes charged, not with electricity, but with something softer, like the feeling right before the first snow falls. The crickets in the surrounding woods fall silent, not in fear, but in anticipation. The fog that was blanketing the town begins to drift towards the station, drawn by an unseen current. It swirls around the rusted iron columns of the platform canopy, softening the hard edges of the ruins, preparing the stage for something wonderful. Then, the sound begins. It is not loud. It is felt in the chest before it is heard by the ears. A deep, resonant vibration, traveling through the ground, through the roots of the trees, and along the buried, rusted tracks. It's a rhythmic thrumming, slow and steady. Thrum, thrum, thrum. It is the sound of a heavy engine from a great distance, but it lacks the grinding harshness of metal on metal. It is smoother, deeper, like the purr of a sleeping giant. Ilara can feel the vibration in her depot now, miles away. Her coffee cup ripples subtly on the desk. She switches her monitor to an external camera view, one that hasn't been used in years, pointed towards the old forest line. The image is grainy and dark, but there, in the distance, where the tracks vanish into the trees, there is a faint luminescence. It's not a headlight. It's a soft, pulsating glow, clearer than the moonlight, cutting through the fog. At the station, the rust on the tracks seems to recede as the vibration increases. The iron rails, moments ago dull and brown, begin to shimmer with a faint blue light. The moss growing between the sleepers glows softly at the tips. The station is preparing itself, cleaning itself with energy rather than brooms. The air grows warmer, smelling faintly of ozone and old paper. The sense of peaceful waiting deepens into a profound tranquility. At the end of the platform, a tall, antique semaphore signal stands against the night sky. Its metal arm has hung limp for half a century, rusted into a downward position. Now, with a groan of metal that sounds almost like a sigh of relief, the arm begins to lift. Slowly, painfully at first, then with increasing smoothness, it rises to the horizontal position. The red lens swings away, replaced by a green glass filter. A light inside, powered by no earthly source, flares to life, casting an emerald beam down the track. The line is clear. The rhythmic thrumming grows louder, a gentle percussion that fills the night. The light approaching through the forest is no longer just a glow. It has form. It is tall and narrow, like a locomotive, but it has no smokestack, no churning pistons. It is a vessel of woven light, gliding smoothly just above the rails. The trees seem to lean away as it passes, their leaves shimmering with the reflected radiance of its passage. Ilara watches the monitor, mesmerized. The grainy camera is overwhelmed by the light, the image blooming into soft white and gold. She feels no urge to report it, no fear of collision. The arrival feels inevitable and right. She leans her head on her hand, her eyes half closed, letting the rhythmic sound emanating from the speakers lull her into a trance. It's a lullaby sung by physics she doesn't understand, and it is profoundly soothing. The spectral train breaks through the tree line and enters the station approach. The fog swirls violently around its form, then settles into a glowing wake behind it. The sound shifts from a thrum to a sustained multi-tonal chord, beautiful and complex. It is the sound of glass harmonicas played by the wind. The arrival board in the station clatters one last time, the destination settling on a single word: here. It enters the station concourse. The train is enormous, yet it makes the space feel intimate. It is translucent, its structure seeming to be made of solidified starlight and polished quartz. You can see right through the carriages to the stone walls on the other side, but the view is warped, dreamlike. There are no wheels grinding on the track. It floats inches above the rails on a cushion of silent energy. With a sound like a gentle exhale, the train comes to a complete, perfectly stop, aligned with the platform. The light it emits is steady now, a warm, inviting golden white that illuminates every corner of the old station, banishing the shadows of the last 50 years. The dust motes stop dancing and hang suspended in the air, caught in the field of stillness the train has brought with it. Ilara sits in her depot, miles away, bathed in the same inexplicable sense of peace. The world outside her window is dark, But in her mind's eye, she sees the station lit up as if for a grand celebration. She feels connected to it, a silent witness to a secret event. The air in her room feels thicker, warmer, safer. Sleep tugs at her consciousness, gentle but insistent. On the platform of Station 13, sections of the train's glowing hull begin to dissolve. They don't slide open like mechanical doors. They simply fade away, creating tall, arched openings. There is no rush of air, no change in temperature, just an open invitation. The interior of the carriages is visible now. There are no seats, only soft, shifting hues of light and undefined, flowing shapes that suggest comfort and rest. Nothing immediately steps out. The train simply waits, emanating a profound sense of patience. It has traveled across an unthinkable distance, perhaps across time itself, to keep an appointment made half a century ago. It is in no hurry. The silence in the station is absolute, save for the gentle, musical hum of the train's idling engines. It is a silence that invites you to let go of the day's burdens. As the minutes pass, the light within the central carriage begins to coalesce. The swirling colors organize themselves, growing brighter and more defined. A shape is forming in the doorway. It is tall and slender, a silhouette against the internal radiance. It is humanoid in general form, but fluid, without hard edges or distinct features. It is a being made of the same soft light as the train itself. The figure takes a step forward, moving from the carriage onto the dusty stone of the platform. As its foot, or what serves as a foot, touches the ground, a ripple of light spreads outwards across the stone floor, cleaning the dust instantly in an expanding circle. Where the figure stands, the platform looks brand new. It pauses, turning its luminous head slowly, as if taking in the surroundings of this strange, silent world. Ilara, miles away, feels a shift. It's not a visual sensation, but an emotional one. A feeling of gentle curiosity washes over her, not her own, but shared. It's the feeling of arriving at a strange shore after a long voyage. She opens her eyes slowly. The monitor showing the Station 13 sector is no longer just blinking. It is glowing with a steady, calm amber light, filling the room with warmth. Back at the station, more figures begin to emerge from the other carriages. They move with a liquid grace, silent and ethereal. There are perhaps a dozen of them in total. They do not speak. They do not appear to have luggage. They simply stand on the platform, their soft light illuminating the Victorian ironwork. A silent delegation from somewhere very far away, finally arriving at their long-delayed destination. The station is full of light and peace. The glowing visitors drift further into the station hall. They do not walk so much as glide, their forms leaving faint, luminescent trails in the air that slowly fade like breath on cold glass. They move individually, yet there is a harmony to their spacing, a subconscious choreography that suggests a deep collective awareness. As they pass the old wooden benches, the peeling varnish seems to settle, the wood reclaiming a rich, polished sheen under their radiance. The station is not just being visited, it is being remembered, and in that memory, it is being made whole again. One of the figures pauses before the old ticket booth. The glass window is clouded with decades of grime, and the brass speaking grate is tarnished green. The figure raises a hand of pure white light, hovering it inches from the glass. There is no sound of cleaning, only a soft shimmer. The grime evaporates into mist, revealing the dark interior of the office. A calendar on the far wall inside, stuck on October 1971, is suddenly illuminated by the visitor's glow. It is a moment of gentle acknowledgement, a bridge built between the now and the then. Miles away, Ilara leans back in her chair, her eyes fixed on the ceiling of the control depot. She is no longer watching the screens. She doesn't need to. The connection has deepened into a waking dream. She feels the coolness of the station's stone floor, smells the scent of ozone and ancient paper. She feels a profound sense of curiosity, devoid of judgment or urgency. It is as if the visitors are sharing their sensory experience with her, using her as a local guide to the feelings of this world. Her breathing slows, matching the rhythmic pulse of the amber light on her console. Outside the station, the forest has accepted the arrival. The nocturnal animals, usually skittish and hidden, have emerged to watch. An owl sits motionless on a rusted girder, its large eyes reflecting the golden light of the train. A family of deer stands at the edge of the platform, unconcerned by the alien presence. The energy emanating from the train acts like a heavy, warm blanket. It suppresses the instinct to flee, replacing it with a calm compulsion to witness. The forest holds its breath, basking in the artificial starlight. Back on the platform, a smaller figure separates from the group. It approaches a rusted iron column that supports the canopy roof. The metal is pitted and rough, eaten away by 50 winters. The figure places a palm against the cold iron. A network of fine glowing veins spreads from the hand into the metal, pulsing gently. It looks like roots of light seeking purchase in the rust. The vibration changes tone, shifting from a hum to a soft, metallic song. The structure of the station is singing back to the visitors. The train itself remains a beacon of absolute stillness. Though its light is bright, it casts no harsh shadows. The illumination wraps around objects, softening their edges. The engine, if it can be called that, emits a constant white noise, similar to the sound of ocean waves or wind through tall grass. It is a frequency that seems designed to induce rest. The dust particles floating in the air drift in slow, impossible loops, caught in the gravity of this soothing soundscape. In the town of Oakhaven, the sleep of the residents deepens. The influence of Station 13 has rolled down the hills like a heavy mist. People turn in their beds, their faces smoothing out as worry lines fade. They begin to dream of flight. In houses all over town, dreamers are soaring over forests of silver trees, gliding alongside trains made of crystal. There are no nightmares tonight. The anxiety of the waking world has been suspended, replaced by the collective tranquility radiating from the woods. One of the visitors moves to the center of the grand concourse. It looks up at the high, vaulted ceiling where peeling paint reveals the lath beneath. The figure raises both arms. A sphere of soft violet light detaches from its chest and floats upward. It rises slowly like a helium balloon, rotating gently. As it ascends, it illuminates the upper reaches of the station, revealing the nesting birds in the rafters who simply watch, undisturbed, as the new moon rises within their home. Ilara, in her deep state of relaxation, understands what they are doing. They are not here to invade, or to take, or even to stay. They are travelers on a layover. They are simply resting. And in their rest, they share their energy. The station, a place of abandoned transit, was the only place quiet enough to receive them. She feels a wave of gratitude. To be a witness to such a quiet miracle is a gift she never expected in her lonely profession. The violet sphere reaches the ceiling and bursts, not with an explosion, but with a silent expansion. It washes the ceiling in a wave of color that restores the fresco that was once painted there. For a fleeting moment, the faded mural of clouds and cherubs is vibrant and new, moving as if alive. Then the light fades into the stone, leaving the ceiling dim again, but somehow cleaner, lighter, as if the weight of the roof has been lifted. The visitors begin to gather again. Their exploration is finished. They have touched the walls, cleared the glass, and acknowledged the time. They drift back towards the platform edge, coalescing into a soft luminescence. They do not communicate with gestures, but the air hums with a harmonious chord, a sound of agreement and satisfaction. The visit was brief, but necessary. The timeline has been acknowledged. As they stand by the open doors of the crystal train, one figure lingers. It turns back toward the darkness of the forest, towards the direction of the town and Ilara's depot. It raises a hand in a gesture that is universal, a wave of farewell. Ilara, miles away, involuntarily raises her hand in her empty room, returning the gesture. A single tear of pure, happy emotion traces a path down her cheek. She has been seen. The figures board the train. They dissolve back into the interior light, their individual forms merging with the greater radiance of the vessel. The arched openings in the hull do not close. They simply fade from existence, resealing the smooth, translucent surface of the carriages. The hum of the engine rises slightly in pitch, returning to the multitonal chord of glass harmonicas. The train is whole again, a sealed capsule of light, ready for departure. The semaphore signal at the end of the platform clunks. The green light intensifies, shooting a beam of emerald straight into the mist, creating a tunnel of visibility. The tracks ahead begin to glow brighter, the blue bioluminescence flaring up to guide the way. The train lifts imperceptibly higher, the cushion of energy beneath it expanding. The leaves on the nearest trees begin to tremble, not from wind, but from the static charge in the air. Slowly, with the grace of a cloud moving across the moon, the train begins to move. There is no lurch, no acceleration force. It simply transitions from being still to being in motion. It glides forward, passing the columns, passing the ticket booth, passing the empty benches. The light it casts sweeps across the station one last time, a final caress of warmth before the darkness returns. The grand arrival board clatters. Departed. It slips out of the station and back into the forest corridor. The fog swirls in its wake, glowing briefly before settling back into gray. The sound of the train fades quickly, dampening with distance much faster than a physical object should. It is leaving not just a place, but a dimension. The heavy thrumming vibration in the ground lessens, retreating back into the earth, leaving the roots and the soil to their slumber. Ilara watches the signal on her monitor. The intense white bloom fades, replaced by the familiar grainy night vision of the forest. The pulsating orb of light grows smaller, shrinking to a pinprick, and then, in the blink of an eye, it simply vanishes. It doesn't drive over the horizon, it dissolves into the ether. The monitor sector blinks once, twice, and then the amber light turns off. The screen returns to the dark, steady green of an inactive sector. At Station 13, the silence rushes back in to fill the void. But it is different now. It is not the heavy, neglected silence of the tomb. It is a peaceful, satisfied silence. The air feels scrubbed clean. The smell of must and rot is gone, replaced by a crisp, fresh scent like after a thunderstorm. The moonlight returns to the floor, reclaiming its territory, but the shadows seem less deep, less lonely. The mechanical arrival board gives one final, sleepy shudder. The flaps turn slowly, almost lazily. The word "departed" disappears, replaced by a blank, black face. The machine powers down. The faint hum of electricity in the copper wires fades away. The station goes back to sleep, its duty fulfilled. It waits no longer. The appointment kept, the burden of 50 years of anticipation is finally lifted. Ilara sits in the quiet of the depot. The digital clock reads 3:33 a.m. She feels incredibly heavy, her eyelids drooping with a weight that is purely physical, her mind clear and calm. The tension of her job, the loneliness of the night shift, has evaporated. She feels a connection to the universe, a secret knowledge that the world is stranger and kinder than she knew. She rests her head on her folded arms on the desk. Outside in the forest, the glow on the tracks fades completely. The blue bioluminescence dims and dies out, leaving the iron rails brown and rustic once more. The moss stops glowing. The semaphore signal arm creaks and slowly drops back to its resting position, the green light extinguishing. The forest reclaims the space. A fox trots across the tracks, sniffing the air, sensing that something wonderful happened here, but knowing it is over. The town of Oakhaven continues to sleep, but the quality of the night has changed. The dreams of flight have turned into deep, restorative, dreamless slumber. The kind of sleep that heals old wounds and knits together frayed nerves. When they wake in the morning, they will not remember the train, but they will feel lighter, happier, as if a heavy weight they didn't know they were carrying has been removed. The wind picks up slightly, rustling the leaves of the ancient oaks surrounding the station. It blows through the broken panes of the high windows, whistling a soft, low tune. It stirs the dust on the floor, beginning the slow process of covering the tracks of the visitors. Time begins to accumulate again, layer by layer, second by second. But the station remembers. The stones remember the light. Ilara breathes deeply in her sleep. In her dream, she is standing on the platform. The train is there, and the door is open. But she does not get on. She stands and watches it leave, waving. She knows that she belongs here, in the world of solid things and gravity. But she also knows that the tracks go somewhere else, somewhere beautiful. And that is enough. The knowledge is a pillow for her soul. The night rolls on. The stars wheel overhead, marking the passage of the hours. The moon begins its descent. The world is quiet. The station stands in the woods, a silent shell once more, but no longer a tomb. It is a monument to a midnight crossing, a shrine to the moment when the impossible touched the real. And in the silence, everything is well. Everything is at peace. The darkness of the night begins to thin, diluted by the creeping approach of dawn. The sky above the forest shifts from deep indigo to a soft, hazy violet. The stars, which had watched the arrival and departure with unblinking eyes, slowly recede, dissolving into the brightening canopy. It is the blue hour, that quiet, suspended moment between the dream and the waking world. The forest breathes out the cool night air and breathes in the anticipation of the sun. The mist that had swirled around the train settles into the hollows of the ground, resting like pockets of white cotton. The first rays of true sunlight breach the horizon, striking the highest peaks of the hills before spilling down towards the valley. They touch the slate roof of Station 13, warming the dew-soaked tiles. Steam begins to rise gently from the damp wood and stone, curling upwards like incense. The station, usually grim and gray in the daylight, looks different this morning. The sunlight catches the mica in the granite walls, making the building sparkle. It does not look abandoned today. It looks like a temple that has been recently blessed. In the control depot, Alara stirs. She hasn't been sleeping deeply, just drifting in that comfortable haze of half-consciousness. She sits up and stretches, her joints popping softly in the quiet room. The monitors are all back to their standard readouts. Sector 13 is dark green, inactive, silent. There is no log entry for the ghost train, no error report generated. If she were to check the digital archives, she knows she would find nothing. But she doesn't need proof. The feeling of peace in her chest is evidence enough. She gathers her things, turns off the main console lights, and steps out into the morning. The air outside is crisp and shockingly sweet. It smells of pine needles, damp earth, and something else, a faint, lingering trace of ozone, like the air after a heavy lightning storm, but without the sharpness. She walks to her car, the gravel crunching rhythmically under her boots. She isn't ready to go home to sleep just yet. There is one stop she needs to make. The pull of the forest is gentle but undeniable. The drive to the old access road is quiet. The world is waking up slowly. A few birds are starting their morning chorus, their songs sounding clearer and more melodic than usual. Ilara parks her car at the rusted gate that marks the end of the public road. The path beyond is overgrown, a tunnel of green leading into the heart of the woods. She steps out, wrapping her coat tighter against the morning chill. She feels no fear, only a sense of returning to a place she knows well, though she hasn't visited in years. She walks along the path where the tracks used to be visible. The rails are mostly buried here, but she can see the lines in the earth. As she gets closer to the station perimeter, she notices the moss. It is vibrantly green, lush and thick, as if it has been fed with a nutrient more potent than rain. Flowers that shouldn't be blooming this late in the year have opened their petals along the trackside, small white and purple wildflowers nodding in the gentle breeze. The station emerges from the trees. In the daylight, the ruin is undeniable. The broken windows, the missing roof tiles, but the heaviness is gone. The shadows that usually cling to the corners have evaporated. Alara steps onto the platform. The stone is dry. She walks to the spot where she saw the figure stand, the place where the circle of light had cleaned the floor. And there it is, a perfect circle of pale, clean stone, standing out starkly against the surrounding gray dust. She crouches down and touches the stone. It feels warm, retaining a heat that the morning sun hasn't provided yet. It tingles slightly against her fingertips. She smiles. It wasn't a dream. The visitors were here. They stopped, they rested, and they left this mark, a stamp of their presence in reality. She stands up and looks at the ticket booth. The glass circle she saw cleaned last night is sparkling, free of 50 years of grime, offering a clear view into the empty office. She walks further into the concourse. The high ceiling, where the violet sphere had burst, seems brighter. The faded mural of clouds looks less like peeling paint and more like a deliberate artistic choice, an impressionist masterpiece of sky. A pigeon flutters down from the rafters and lands near her feet, cooing softly. It doesn't fly away when she moves. The animals know. The sanctuary status of this place has been renewed. Ilara sits on one of the benches, the one that had been polished by the passage of the glowing figures. The wood is smooth under her hand, the grain rich and dark. She closes her eyes and listens. She can almost hear the echo of the glass harmonica chord fading into the ambient sounds of the forest. She feels a profound sense of closure. The station was waiting for this train. Now that it has come and gone, the station can finally just be. After a long while, she stands up. The sun is higher now, casting shorter, sharper shadows. It is time to go. She leaves the station, walking back down the overgrown track. She doesn't look back. She doesn't need to. She carries the peace of the place with her. As she drives back towards Oakhaven, the road feels smoother, the colors of the world more vivid. The barrier between the magical and the mundane has been thinned, and she likes it this way. In Oakhaven, the town is waking up. But it is not the usual groggy, reluctant waking of a Tuesday morning. Doors open and people step out to collect newspapers or milk, pausing to take deep breaths of the air. Neighbors wave to each other with genuine warmth. The baker, usually grumpy in the early hours, is humming a tune as he kneads the dough. The scent of fresh bread wafting through the streets smells sweeter than usual, laced with a hint of nostalgia. Old Mrs. Higgins, who has walked with a cane for a decade due to aching knees, finds herself halfway down her garden path before she realizes she left her stick by the door. She stops, surprised, flexing her legs. The pain is gone, replaced by a comfortable warmth. She laughs, a sound like dry leaves rustling, and bends down to smell her roses, which have bloomed overnight in a riot of impossible color. The children of the town wake up with clear eyes, remembering flying in their dreams. They draw pictures of trains made of light and figures that shine like lamps. They play in the schoolyard with a new gentleness, the rough and tumble games replaced by cooperative explorations. The teachers notice the hush in the classrooms, a focused, calm attention that makes the day flow like a river. The influence of the Station 13 visitors has woven itself into the fabric of the community. Ilara reaches her small apartment. It is bright and cozy. She drops her keys in the bowl and takes off her coat. The night shift usually leaves her exhausted and wired, but today she feels a heavy, sweet fatigue. It is the feeling of a child after a long day at the beach, sun-soaked and ready for rest. She makes a cup of herbal tea, watching the steam rise, mirroring the steam she saw rising from the station roof. She draws the blackout curtains, dimming the room to a soft twilight. The sounds of the town outside are muffled, distant. She climbs into her bed, pulling the cool sheets up to her chin. As she closes her eyes, the image of the station returns to her. Not the dark, abandoned ruin, but the cathedral of light it became for 1 hour. She sees the visitors gliding, the train glowing, the moss shining. The memory acts as a lullaby. Her breathing slows. The world continues to turn. The sun climbs higher, but in her darkened room, time suspends again. She is safe. The town is safe. The station is safe. The train is gone, traveling the star roads to its next destination, carrying the memory of the earth with it. The connection is broken, but the circuit is complete. Everything is exactly as it should be. Back in the forest, the station sits quietly in the noon sun. A squirrel runs along the top of the arrival board, chittering. Dust begins to settle again, very slowly, on the clean circle of stone. Nature is reclaiming its space, but gently now. The ivy grows a little faster, wrapping the columns in a protective embrace. The station is going back to sleep, but this time it sleeps without waiting. It dreams of nothing but the wind and the rain. The day passes in Oakhaven. The sun arcs across the sky and begins to dip towards the west. The golden hour returns, painting the town in amber. The extraordinary feeling of the morning settles into a quiet contentment. The magic hasn't vanished, it has just been absorbed. It is in the water, in the soil, in the hearts of the people. They will sleep well tonight, and the night after, and the night after that. As twilight approaches again, the first star appears in the darkening sky. It twinkles brightly, a tiny diamond in the velvet blue. Perhaps it is a star. Or perhaps it is the tail light of a vessel made of crystal and light, moving away, further and further, into the deep, quiet dark. We watch it until it disappears, our eyes heavy, our minds calm, ready to follow it into the gentle void of sleep. The darkness is absolute now. A comforting velvet blanket drawn tight over the world. The memory of the light train has faded from the retina, leaving behind a soothing after-image of peace. The woods around Station 13 are no longer waiting for a signal. The trees stand tall and silent, their roots digging deep into the cool earth, anchoring the night. The only movement is the slow drift of the constellations overhead, a celestial clock ticking at a pace too slow for the human eye to see, measuring out the span of our rest. In her apartment, Alara sleeps the sleep of the contented. Her breathing is deep and rhythmic, a soft metronome in the quiet room. The concerns of the railway, the schedules, the blinking lights of the depot, they are all far away, dissolved in the solvent of dreams. She travels now without moving, exploring landscapes made of memory and wish, guided by the silent understanding she found in the old station. Her rest is complete, recharging her spirit for whatever ordinary days lie ahead. The influence of the night stretches beyond the town, beyond the forest. It reaches you, wherever you are. Just like the station, you have been waiting for this moment of arrival, the arrival of silence, the arrival of stillness. You can feel the heavy, pleasant gravity of sleep pulling at your limbs, inviting you to let go of the tension in your shoulders, to unclench your hands, to let your head sink deeper into the pillow. The train of thought is slowing down, coming to a smooth, final stop. Imagine the rails that lead into your own mind. For so long, they have been busy with the traffic of the day, the noise, the speed, the friction. But now the signal is green. The track is clear. And the vehicle approaching is not one of noise, but of light. It glides silently, carrying nothing but peace. It sweeps away the debris of worry, leaving a clean, quiet space behind it. You are the station, and tonight you are being visited by a profound calm. The wind outside whispers a lullaby to the walls of Station 13. It tells stories of ancient times, of long sleeps and slow awakenings. The dust on the floor lies undisturbed. The ticket booth is empty. The benches are empty. There is no one left to wait, and nothing left to wait for. The purpose of the place is fulfilled. In this emptiness, there is no loneliness, only the spacious freedom of rest. It is a sanctuary of shadow and stone, perfectly at ease with itself. Your breathing aligns with the slow pulse of the earth. In and out, slow and steady, like the rhythmic thrumming of that ghostly engine, a vibration that soothes the nervous system. The barrier between you and the dream world is thinning, becoming as transparent as the hull of the crystal train. You can see the colors waiting for you on the other side. Soft violets, deep indigos, warm golds. They are shifting, swirling, inviting you to step aboard. The night deepens. The sounds of the world have retreated to the very edges of perception. There is only the here, and the now, and the comfort of the dark. The story of Station 13 is over, tucked away in the library of the forest, another secret kept by the trees. But the feeling remains, the feeling that miracles can happen in the quietest hours. The feeling that we are watched over by benevolent forces of light and silence. Let go. Let the last bit of resistance melt away like the fog in the morning sun. You are safe. You are warm. You are tired. The journey is done. The destination is here. Sleep is the passenger that has finally arrived. Open the doors and let it in. Let it fill the halls of your mind with its soft, glowing presence. Let it clean the windows of your soul. Station 13 stands under the moon, a monument to the beauty of the pause. It reminds us that stopping is not an end, but a necessary part of the journey. Without the stop, there is no arrival. Without the night, there is no day. Without sleep, there is no life. So we accept the stop. We embrace the pause. We drift into the silence, carried on rails of starlight. The signal light is out. The board is blank. The forest is asleep. And now, so are you. Drifting, floating, gliding into the deep, restorative unknown. Good night, traveler. Good night, dreamer. You are home. This has been the Taken Hour. Sleep well.